What up y'all, it's TTAR, and today we're going to be talking about something I've really been wanting to for Pokemon Legends, and that's Necrozma's return in these games, which are based in Kalos. Is this possible? Well, I wanted to just talk about Necrozma, because Necrozma itself is shrouded in mystery. Even though we got Ultra Sun and Moon, I'm going to tell y'all today what Necrozma is about, and you're going to learn some new things, because Ultra Sun and Moon kind of just came and went so fast, and Necrozma is one of the most important Pokemon probably right under Arceus, but Pokemon hid too much of its lore where you have to really dig to find it. And you might even think that Necrozma is something created by Arceus by the end of this video. But yeah, that's getting a bit too ahead. So the basis for this video is this is a part 3 to our little Ultra Beast run in Pokemon Legends EA. We're talking about Ultra Beasts returning in these games. And the main thing that interests me in this is that Zygarde crossed over in Alola to watch over the Ultra Beast. So it's always a fun idea to paint the picture that the Ultra Beast and Zygarde had a run-in before. So in part 2, I talked about there being an Ultra Beast King that could represent the A legendary in the title Pokemon Legends EA. And one Pokemon I briefly mentioned in that video was Necrozma, that this hypothetical A Ultra Beast would be like an equivalent threat that Necrozma was. But Necrozma is a different story. The threat of this game would be this A Ultra Beast. Let's talk about Necrozma though. Better yet, let's talk about the Ultra Recon Squad. So if the Ultra Recon Squad were to pop up in these games to warn us of this Ultra Beast threat, it would be ancestors of some of the characters we know. Might as well just make them direct ancestors. We only know 4 Ultra Recon members. And these would be ancestors closer to the big sin committed. You see, the story of Necrozma and the Ultra Recon Squad is that Necrozma is this godlike Pokemon that is so vibrant. They call it the blinding one, or in Japanese, the radiant one. This is weird to envision. When you look up in the sky and you see the sun, when you're traveling through the ultra wormholes and you see those little pockets of light everywhere, everything is Necrozma. That's the actual lore described in games. It's almost something like when the equivalent of the Big Bang happened, that Necrozma is at the center of that Big Bang. That Necrozma is the one spreading light throughout the whole universe and across all the different Ultra worlds. What happened is the Ultra Recon Squad's ancestors saw this godly Pokemon, which you almost start to question, did Arceus make Necrozma? I don't like to delve into those thoughts, but Necrozma is higher up on the pecking order than Dialga and Palkia. And I guess in its original form, it is a dragon type as well. It's a psychic dragon type. So it's like you had Dialga, Palkia, time and space, antimatter Giratina. Necrozma is the light that filled the universe. When Arceus said, "Let there be light," Necrozma, that's the let there be light. This Necrozma, the Ultra Recon Squad, at some point in the past, the ancestor to these characters, they saw Necrozma and they're like, we want this light. F this Pokemon. This dude is sharing its light with the whole universe, all kinds of different Ultra wormholes. We've got Solgaleons and Lunalas that we can ride, go into other Ultra spaces. Let's hunt down Necrozma. Let's take that light for ourselves. This is fact. This is what the ancestors to the Ultra Recon Squad did. They went out and hunted this Radiant One, this godlike Pokemon. The Ultra Recon Squad are humans just like us in a parallel-like world. A whole city that was probably thriving thanks to Necrozma blessing the whole universe and all the Ultra spaces with light. So it probably looked a lot like our world. So if you were to see what these Ultra Recon Squad members look like, you see these dudes with blue skin, they wouldn't have blue skin. They would look like us because they have light. The blue skin and the protective gear and all they're wearing is because there's no light. Well, the protective gear is actually for when they come to our world. Because there's so much light, their body can't withstand it. But they would look like perfectly normal humans. So these humans in a parallel world went and hunted Necrozma and started attacking it to the point where Necrozma, who... you get a wrong image of Necrozma in the games. The dude looks mad. He's the actual villain of Ultra Sun and Moon, gripping a Solgaleo Lunala, stealing its light and looking like a menace. But look at the vision I'm putting here, right? It's just traveling to other Ultra spaces and giving light. It's actually a calm Pokemon. So I imagine when the Ultra Recon Squad jumped it, it was blindsided. It didn't actually have an even fight. So when they attacked Necrozma, which the form it always takes is this Ultra Necrozma form. That's its base form in reality. When these Ultra dudes attack them, think of it as like shattering glass. In a weird way, Necrozma's radiant body, it was injured, and like a shattered glass, the light just exploded out of it, and Necrozma reduced into this black prism form that you see now with only 600 BST. So what happens at the end of this battle? It looks like the Ultra Recon squad, now with Necrozma weakened, managed to kind of capture Necrozma and bring it back to their world in Ultra Megalopolis. The moment Necrozma enters their world though, which is bright, looks the equivalent of our world. First off, blessed with the light that Necrozma gave to it in the first place, Necrozma, which is thriving in pain and needs light to replenish itself, instantly absorbs everything, all the light in their world, and plunges it into darkness. But before Necrozma can escape, they actually succeed in fully securing it and capturing it, and they put it in that tower, Megalo Tower. The tower you see with all that light escaping, that was Necrozma's prison. No one knows for how long, but they had Necrozma captured there. Now, remember how I described Necrozma to be like shattering glass? Well, you see the Ultra Beasts that come from deep space, they have this red beast boost aura. What that aura really is Necrozma's light. The energy of Necrozma's light. The same way like the Paradox Pokemon are boosted by their environments, the Ultra Beasts are boosted by Necrozma's light. That's what that red aura is. So remember how I described Necrozma as like shattered glass? When they jump Necrozma in Ultra Space, this shattered glass is what goes into one of the nearby portals, Ultra Wormholes, and falls down to the world. That portal is our world, and they fall down to the Alola region and become the Z Crystals, which is what the Totem Pokemon use to gain a similar aura to the Ultra Beasts. It's all the same thing. Pretty much, something happens one day, and Necrozma manages to escape its prison. Now, it's in its black form now because the light it took, it's always going to be temporary. Necrozma is a shattered glass prism. The light is never gonna, it seems like it can't be fixed. Any light it replenishes itself with will slowly leak back out anyway. They permanently mess this Pokemon up. So Necrozma, once freed, with no light to absorb in Ultra Megalopolis, goes through an Ultra Wormhole to the next brightest Ultra Wormhole, it would seem. The one brightest after Ultra Megalopolis, now that it's plunged into darkness, is our world. The same world that those Z Crystals fell down to long ago. So Necrozma in this black form comes down to Alola and actually tries to pick a fight with Alola. Back in the day, this is ancient Alola. Necrozma picks a fight with the Tapus, picks a fight with Solgaleo and Lunala, and actually manages to absorb Solgaleo and Lunala. You know how they talk about there being an ancient king in Alola? That's who Acerula is the descendant of. This king saw Necrozma absorb their sacred guardian Solgaleo / Lunala and beat up the Tapus, that he called this thing the Pillager of Light, the one who's trying to plunge our world into darkness, this evil threat of a Pokemon. And it was hopeless for Alola. Necrozma was gonna pull it off. It was about to turn into Ultra Necrozma, absorb all the light in our world, and just dip off to Ultra Space again to look for the next world. Because now it's effed up and needs to keep sucking. Pretty much it needs to go back to all the worlds it blessed with light and one by one plunge everything into darkness. But before it could plunge our world into darkness, it's like a fairy tale. A boy pops up with a Z Crystal band because Necrozma's crystals fell down quite a few hundred years ago already before it was locked in that prison in Ultra Megalopolis. They managed to, as a protagonist would in the modern day, they managed to use Necrozma's own light against it and defeat it. This is the story that starts Alola's Island Trials. I know, if there are ever a Legends Alola game, this is exactly the character we'd be playing as, except, you know, there's something to talk about there. I'll talk about it next time. After this, what really happened? Two possibilities. Either the Ultra Recon squad came down, chasing after Necrozma, who just escaped their prison and re-locked Necrozma up back in Megalo Tower, or Necrozma just stayed in Alola low-key. The reason I say this is because these are the two futures we see. In Sun and Moon, Necrozma's chilling in the grass somewhere. I don't know why it's not doing anything. It's filled with pain, it desperately needs light, but it's not absorbing light. It's just hanging around. And then you get to the Ultra Sun and Moon world, where Necrozma is here looking for the smoke. Necrozma is a good Pokemon at the end of the day, so I can imagine in the Sun and Moon world, the reason it's hanging around is, one, it's trying to find peace a different way, not trying to draw attention, but two, the real reason is it's fallen asleep. It's too weak to move and really do anything, that it actually fell asleep here. Look at its Pokedex entry right here. Light is the source of its energy. If it isn't devouring light, impurities build up in it and on it, and Necrozma darkens and stops moving. That's really why it fell asleep. And so my theory on why it woke up after so long is because the Ultra Beast started appearing. Either way, if you notice something here, Necrozma is not some foreign Pokemon freak of nature that just appeared in the modern day and took everyone for a surprise. The ancient king of Alola knew Necrozma. The entire island trials that they've been doing for who knows how many hundreds or thousands of years, Necrozma came at the start of that. But the king of Alola was so freaked out by Necrozma, he wiped it from the history books. This is the story of Necrozma now. Now, I just wanted to tell you all that because it's so crazy. You don't really get to understand this lore in Ultra Sun and Moon. Let's talk about Pokemon Legend ZA. If we go back to around 200 years ago, where is Necrozma? In our little Ultra Beast fun that we're having with Ultra Beast invading Lumiose and some Ultra Beast King that would be the A legendary, is there room for Necrozma to appear in these games? Where is Necrozma 200 years ago? Well, he's in one of two locations. He's either low-key in Alola, hiding from the Ultra Recon squad. That's probably also why Necrozma is hiding, because the moment it's so weak that the moment it tries to do something, it's just gonna get beat up. So until someone puts a fresh Solgaleo Lunala in front of its face, it's probably just hiding in the grass of Alola. That's in one world. It's either hiding in Alola or it's locked up in Megalo Tower. Both of these, they're not somewhere where Necrozma can pop up in Legend ZA. If the Ultra Recon squad are involved with Ultra Beast stuff in Legend ZA, even Necrozma can find a way to break out of prison and do what appears temporarily in Kalos before they lock it back up again. That's a weird future, right? The one I like more is Necrozma being in the grass. And so, when the Ultra Beasts invade Lumiose, Necrozma goes from Alola and slowly makes its way over to Kalos to see what's good with the Ultra Beasts that are coming. I like this idea because it creates the perfect sweet spot for how I would want Necrozma to be treated in these games. That it's not the main villain or anyone important. It's just watching in Kalos as this Ultra Beast King and Ultra Beast invasion stuff is happening. It's not going to play any role other than just being in the vicinity for you to encounter it in the post game. Or you could have a situation where, like Volo and Giratina, which was like a second segment of the story in the post game, that in the main game you have the Ultra Beast invasion that you wipe out leading up to the final battle against the Ultra Beast King. Then in the post game, you actually have Necrozma appearing and trying to like pillage all the Ultra Beasts that came to revitalize its light. And that would actually be the post game Volo fight. Like someone finds Necrozma in the region and knows who it is from its wiped history, the sacred text from Alola, and they, this is such a weird concept, they try to wake it back up. It's a weird thing to say because this is Legends ZA at the end of the day, right? Necrozma and waking up this god of light, it is a little too removed from what we get from Kalos, but it's not too removed if Ultra Beasts are actually involved in the story. Then this actually flows perfectly. And then looking back at Legend ZA and the Kalos and Alola games, you'd understand that Kalos and Alola share a deep history, and the two are pretty intertwinable. Shank that like button. That's the history of Necrozma and what kind of feature it could have in Legend ZA if you really wanted to have fun with the idea. There is one more path to go down for this Necrozma idea, and I'm gonna do it next video. Y'all let me know your thoughts. Would you want Necrozma to be involved? or is it too removed and you can't conceive it happening? I'll see you on the next one. Take care.